and you will get this recording sent to you probably by tomorrow morning. From our career and professional development team here at WGU. My name is RJ Panesi. I work on our CPD team in our employer relations office. And with that recording, you'll also get a questionnaire. We obviously value your opinion. We want your opinion. So there is a quick questionnaire. Should take you no more than 2 minutes to fill that out. So we just ask that you please fill that out, but you will be able to go back and review the material that's covered today. The chat is open, so I know that you will have the ability to participate in the chat with questions. I'm sure we'll have a time at the end of the presentation to do a Q&A. So if you want to hold off your questions until then, that'd probably be best. But just do know that the chat is open, and then at the end of the session during the Q&A, I'll allow people to take themselves off mute. If you want to come off mute and ask questions, completely up to you, whatever you are comfortable with. But from here, what I will do, Nick, did you want to say anything before we pass it over to TriHealth?
Sure. Happy to introduce myself and talk about how we got here. But RJ, thanks so much for the collaboration and for setting this up. I'm Nick Schroth. I work as the Strategic Partnerships Manager in Cincinnati, Ohio, where TriHealth is located. I was at a job fair, I guess it was 2 months ago, where I was seated next to Lauren Hoover, who is going to be leading today's session. And sure enough, she's a WGU alum, so we connected and talked about some of the ways we can support TriHealth. And these are great opportunities to learn about exceptional companies that are doing neat things in the community. And with that, I can turn it over to Lauren. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Nick and RJ. Hi, everyone. Welcome, and thank you so much for putting some time aside to jump on the call and to hear about some useful tips when applying for a role from TriHealth. And then at the end, like RJ said, we'll have a Q&A. We're going to throw in a little talk jobs with TriHealth at the end too. So we're very excited to speak to you about that. So Tatiana, if you want to go on ahead and move on to the first slide. All right, so one of our, and just so you all know, Tatiana, Megan Fletcher, and we are all talent acquisition consultants for TriHealth. So we're the team members who reach out to you. We might ask you some questions about your application, help you get in front of that hiring manager for an interview. So these are some hands-on, like our experiences and the tips we have for you that we have taken away from those experiences. So the first one we have for you is conduct your research on the industry and or the company you are applying to. And then the other one is craft your resume for that job or role. So with the first one, you never know, like someone, and I've done it before in my role, I have asked candidates questions like, hey, have you read about TriHealth's mission and values? So you never know when you are going to be asked a question such as that. So this is very important to conduct your research. That way as well, you are going to be asked questions, but once you are done answering questions, you can ask the questions that are flowing through your mind. So this is a really important step when you're applying for a role. And then craft your resume for that job. So I think we have an example on the left, but if you're applying for a role with TriHealth, for an example, go on ahead and create a job, I'm losing my train of thought right now. Create a cover letter strategically for TriHealth, because that's really going to impact your application in our eyes and will help you stand out from others who maybe didn't include something like that. It's really going to show us that you're putting in that time and effort to stick out and care about your application that's going in on the role. Tatiana, Megan, do you have anything else to say about that? And if not, you can move on.
No, I don't.
And then the next tip we have for you is when applying, please verify in the application if you can add in your education and certifications or licensures and attach it if possible. So like, especially if you're a nurse, I know WGU has nursing. Or if you're applying for a job that one of the job requirements is for you to hold a certain licensure or certification, it's going to put you ahead of the game and save, if I'm being honest, on our end, time going to search out in the web to find that certification and verify. So that's really going to help you stand out in my eyes to show that you put in that time to attach that. And it's going to make your application more user friendly for us. So that is a really great tip that we wanted to provide you. And then when you're also doing this, make sure you review the job description to confirm you meet all the requirements. Because, like I said, some jobs do require a certification or a licensure. So if it does require one and you don't meet that, you wouldn't want to put in an application because we wouldn't be able to hire you. So make sure you verify that because that's very important and will help you be successful in your job search. And then on the left is just an example that we have from a resume, and this is them just listing it on the resume, but like for TriHealth, there is a section where you can input in the application itself your education, your certifications and licensures. So please do that. That is really going to make an impact on your user friendly and make you stand out for the application process. All right, I think we're good to move on, Tatiana. And Megan, I'm going to let you take over here.
Sorry about that. I was stuck on mute. Standard 2024 response there. Thanks, Lauren. This slide, while I kind of feel like it would seem obvious to most of us in this room, adults, you would be amazed on how many times a day I see email addresses like Baller Dude 13, Baby Meg 27, things of that nature. So when you're applying for jobs, being professional isn't just getting in a nice cover letter and a nice resume. One of the biggest pet peeves, probably the three of us can tell you, is trying to call an applicant and finding out that they don't have a voicemail set up, that their voicemail box is, not able to accept any new messages. And lesser this, since we've kind of gotten away and into cell phones where people don't either record a greeting at all, which kind of neither here nor there, but having unprofessional greetings as well, songs and other things like that in voicemail greetings versus, just identifying yourself so that we know we're leaving the right person a message. Outside of that, having an email, even if you are Baller Dude, if you need to create a new email address specifically to put on your resume, for the sole responsibility of it collecting, communications from employers, I would recommend that because other than seeing your application or your resume, giving you a call or shooting you an email is going to be the first or second impression that we get from you. So having a persona created that, presents you as someone that an employer thinks is going to be a fit is very important.
Absolutely. And Megan, I do want to add, nowadays we are using text messaging. So having that phone handy and accessible is the way to go.
And on top of that, it's something I think we run into here at TriHealth from time to time, because we do send, like Tatiana said, whether it is coming through a system generated text messaging system, sending out email messages from, an applicant tracking system, taking a look when you can at your filtering settings on your personal email address can be really important as well. We send a lot of emails that come from the system, so they may come from generic looking or complicated email addresses, ultimately that your phone trying to do you a favor or Gmail trying to do you a favor is going to shove straight to your junk or spam. So making sure, again, same with phone calls, making sure that you don't have overly restrictive filtering settings on both your phone and your email. If you are, really out there actively, participating in the job market, those can be really important things that could cause you to miss calls and emails, that when you find them later, it could be too late.
Yeah, and you'll be surprised because Megan, now that you mentioned that, I've had a few candidates in my history that would say they have a restriction on calling them private or certain numbers calling their phone, and at that point they may miss the opportunity. Awesome. Thank you, Megan. Now I'll move to the next slide. Now it's time to prepare for the actual interview. Even if you know that you have the interview or not, it's always good practice to go over some commonly asked interview questions. Um, One way is by looking and reviewing some updated questions that they have out there. And a lot of it is at your fingertips, it's in Google. But this only helps you to develop some of your responses when you are being interviewed. One commonly asked question, and I know that a lot of people have been asked this question, is tell me about yourself. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Um, I think that is one of the questions that can throw you off a little bit because they really do want you to go more into your history and your background, especially educational history, work history, and so forth. But always be sure to provide or put your best foot forward or your best impression first. And with that being said, we do have a neat little video for you all to review. Here we are.
In the interview chair until invited to do so. So once you're sat down in the interview chair, the interviewer is going to say something like, welcome to the interview. Can you start off by introducing yourself? Or they might say, tell me about yourself. Now, whenever you introduce yourself during an interview, it's really important that you include the following 4 things. Please make sure you take notes. Number 1, the skills and qualities you have that are a match for the role you're applying for. Number 2, talk about any experience or qualifications you possess that are relevant to the position. Number 3, talk about any significant achievements you have gained in work life or personal life so far. And then finally, number 4, talk about the type of person you are and what you are going to do in the role if they hire you. So you should include those 4 things when introducing yourself during a job interview. And right now, I am going to give you a brilliant job interview introduction script that you can use to the start of your interview. The interviewer says to you, introduce yourself. Here's a brilliant script that you can use. Here we go. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be interviewed for this position today. Now, having studied the job description, I am confident I have the skills, the qualities and the qualifications needed to excel in the role. I am a fast learner. I possess excellent problem-solving capabilities and I can manage a significant workload. I have an impressive track record of achievement. For example, in my previous role, I was praised by my supervisor for helping the company find ways to increase sales by improving customer service standards. Now, the type of person I am means I will always act as a positive role model for the company, and I will make sure I take responsibility for my ongoing professional development. Now, if you hire me in this position, I believe you will quickly see a positive return on your investment. That is a brilliant example of a job interview introduction that you can use right at the start of your interview. So you now know exactly what to say at the start of the interview when the interviewer says to you, introduce yourself. And if you want to now learn how to answer all of the tough interview questions that are going to come your way during your interview, make sure you click that link right now.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tatiana. I hope you all enjoyed the video. We thought it had some other awesome tips when preparing for that interview. So I hope you agreed with that. But now we just want to open it up for any questions that you all might have. RJ, if you can unmute so that they can speak to the meeting, that would be super awesome. But we would love to hear any questions you have. I did get a few in the chat so far. So I had a question of, are there preferences for local applicants? I'm in Dayton, Ohio. And so my response was Team Ohio, because that's where we are. Um, but yes, if you are working in person, you will want to be within the Cincinnati tri-state area. Dayton is not too far from us. And I'm sure you're aware of that, Marcia. So we do have not only like Cincinnati, like downtown, but TriHealth is spread all throughout the tri-state. So we're in Lebanon, we're in Mason, Westchester, we are up north close to you. So if you are open to a role, we will mention something here at the end of the meeting, and I would advise you reach out. And the next question I had was, does TriHealth not hire remotely outside of those states? So unfortunately, per TriHealth policy currently, you must live in Ohio, Kentucky, or Indiana to work for the company, even if you are remote. I see another one come through. Where can I look for current positions? Tatiana, can you move to the next slide for me?
Absolutely.
So on this next slide, there's a QR code that you can scan, and that's going to take you directly to our careers page where you can filter and search by, whatever keywords you want to use, whether it's IT, nursing, administrative. The sky's the limit. So definitely search within there, and you can even input what part of town you're seeking. The next question is, any remote positions? Yes, we do have remote roles. It varies by department. So a lot of the remote roles that I've been staffing for have been like coders, a lot of rev cycle, I'll say that instead of going through all of them. So a lot of like revenue cycle. Some of our roles within HR do allow remote capabilities. But I will tell you that I am starting to see TriHealth, different roles that are not remote venture out into that area, the unknown remote realm. And so it doesn't mean more remote roles will come open in the future. So if that's something you're interested in, please stay tuned for a comment here shortly that will drop. What kind of context clues should you look for in a job posting to determine if it is worth applying for straight out of college? Most job postings always have some kind of experience requirement. Yes, that is a great question. And you know what? I don't want to take all of the stage. So Megan or Tatiana, do you want to answer that question?
I'll take this one. Cody, I actually put in the chat as well an answer to that. I personally recommend applying to any jobs that you find of interest. To me, it's always better to have your hat in the ring to not be considered at all. And, realistically speaking, you never know what other quality on your resume or application might jump out to what type of hiring manager. So, it may say at least 1 year of experience, but maybe you have listed that you played a college sport or even a high school sport, noted that you were voted captain. And, depending on the manager that takes a look at it, they might say, oh, well, this person was chosen to lead their team for 3 years in a row. I would qualify them as, having the right type of experience I'm looking for, right? So you can't be considered for a job if you don't put in your resume. Obviously, there's limits to that. You're not going to be fresh out of college applying for senior management. But, as long as it seems to have some sort of sensibility, I recommend always putting an application in if it jumps out at you.
Awesome. Thanks, Megan. I'm going to let Tatiana answer the next one. So the question is, does TriHealth offer tuition assistance for master's degrees? And to answer that question, the answer is yes. So it doesn't matter what type of degree it is, a bachelor's, a master's, a doctorate. TriHealth does offer two awesome opportunities when it comes to tuition assistance or tuition reimbursement. So, the first one, tuition assistance. So it's going to vary based upon if you're full-time or part-time and what we are going to assist with. And, obviously our benefits team would deep dive into this with you, but just for a brief overview, we do offer that. So, if you're going to school or planning to continue your education, that is something TriHealth will assist with if you are an employee with us. One of the other awesome benefits that I had never heard of before I started working for TriHealth, so this really impacted my happiness with the benefits package offered compared to other jobs I've held, is that TriHealth offers something called Student Loan Debt Solution. So pretty much like I obtained my bachelor's and my MBA outside of TriHealth, like when I was not with the company. And it doesn't matter. TriHealth offers this benefit, and all you do is sign up for it. And when you get hired on, we will provide you the documents for that as part of like, here's our benefits. It'll be included in that for you. But they offer $100 a month toward federal student loan debt, no matter if you were with TriHealth or not when you accrued it. So 100 a month for part-time and then 200 a month for full-time team members. So that really is an amazing benefit in my eyes, and that is a great question, Nick. Looks like the next question, any marketing opportunities in New York? Unfortunately not. I really wish that we had opportunities expanded outside of Ohio, Indiana, or Kentucky. But at this time, we do not have that as an opportunity. The next question is, I've gotten a lot of interviews despite not having experience. Seems like recruiters like my resume, but hiring managers don't. Inevitably, there's a part in the interview where they ask for experience. I don't. Supervisor experience with a particular state, Medicaid Act. I feel like I'm wasting my time and their time by interviewing at all, if that's going to disqualify me. How do I overcome this by spinning my lack of experience in a positive way?
Hey, Lauren, you want me
Tatiana,
to take?
take it.
You want
Yeah,
me to
no,
jump in? Yeah, cool. So Monique, I will tell you, you are not the only person who has that kind of issue. Now, when you mention things like experience with a particular state's Medicaid programs or those kind of specific things, not to be a buzzkill, but those kinds of things are pretty hard to overcome, right? That's something that I'd kind of check out in the job description. Being familiar with state regulations and programs. To be fair, there's not really a way to spin that, if you will. But other things, avoiding telling a hiring manager no, right? Like, so, if they ask, have you ever done XYZ? The answer might be no, but there's probably a good chance that somewhere at some point in your life, even if it is barely relevant or 10, 15 years ago, finding a way to say, I haven't done that specifically, but worst case scenario, right? My senior year of high school, I was, elected to be the president of the FFA club. And during that time, I did have to XYZ, right? So sometimes hiring managers aren't necessarily looking to ensure that you've done every single thing that the person before you in the role was doing. But your ability to pivot, to find a way to get through the scenario, those are other things that they're kind of taking underlying stock of, where you're not answering a specific question or things like that, but you're just showing them how you can answer a question or how you can get through a tough situation during the interview without it kind of bringing things to a halt, or becoming awkward, or you just being like, no, and then there's a pause. So your ability to navigate obstacles and move through difficult conversations is most likely going to come out in a positive light, because most jobs do involve obstacles and difficult conversations.
thanks, Megan. That's awesome. Tatiana, I think you said you had something to add to that.
I'm so sorry. Can you all hear me? I'm having technical difficulties. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Megan. Megan, you touched on it. I think that is awesome. Just being that ability not to say no, but to just actually mention that you have transferable skills. Just have those skills that maybe you did in previous roles prior to go ahead and apply it to this position. Now, leaders, a lot of the leaders a lot of times don't look, or hiring managers, I'm sorry, they don't necessarily look at, oh, they can do this exactly, but how you would work through certain situations. And that's another reason why they ask those behavioral style questions too, because they're looking at how you would manage through certain obstacles or overcome certain things. And those questions can help. So that's actually awesome. My apologies.
Awesome. Thank you. The next question is there a way to talk or email with a recruiter before applying for a job? So, that's going to vary based upon employer, but I can tell you for TriHealth, absolutely. We have a talent acquisition inbox that you can definitely reach out to with questions before applying to a job, but that would vary based upon company. The next question is from an applicant standpoint. Are there specific strategies or best practices you would recommend for ensuring that a resume and application are ATS friendly and stand the best chance of being noticed? Tatiana, Megan, you
I
want to
think
answer one?
Honestly, I think the number one thing is just making sure you understand that description. Having some of those keywords or key points in your description or in your outline of what you qualify to do is important. One of the things that a lot of the ATS systems possess is an ability to filter out candidates that don't hit certain qualifications. And so think about that. And that's one of the reasons why they stress to, Lauren stressed it in that video, it's stressed to make sure you tailor or craft your resume, your responses to a lot of those qualifications. They look at those things, and those things, I mean, some of our more advanced ATS systems would completely say you're not qualified if you don't have some of those qualifications listed.
One call out on that, and Tatiana, you can probably co-sign this once you hear it, having also come from the IT world. Now,
Yep.
I don't know, what most of our attendees here are in as far as a field, but I can definitely say there is a point where being ATS friendly becomes incredibly noticeable. Like it comes up more in the IT world, which is kind of why I said I don't necessarily know what field everybody is in. But if you are in IT, taking the approach where you just copy paste a paragraph of every technology ever known into the bottom of your or into the bottom of your resume somewhere, a recruiter in the IT world will see that immediately. And although you might not get filtered out by the ATS system, they will immediately get rid of you because it becomes very obvious that you are employing strategies to purposely beat an ATS versus to ensure that you're being included versus excluded. So if you are in an industry that is buzzword heavy, as IT is, that's something to be mindful of as well, because you guys are good at tech and we know you know how to beat systems. So that is definitely something that people look out for in an industry that can be buzzword heavy.
Thank you, Megan.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
So I don't see any more questions flowing in right now. Does anyone else have a question before we make our last remark, before we let you go enjoy the rest of this beautiful day?
I have a quick one if that's all right.
Absolutely.
So one question that we definitely see a lot is as people are going through the interview process, what are some things that jump out to you all as far as what could have somebody really stand out from the crowd? Is there something specific that somebody can do? Obviously, doing their research is probably going to be a big part of that, but anything specific that, when you go through and you're interviewing an individual that really jumps out to you that you're like, wow, that, this person has it together. This is somebody that I feel like could move forward in the interview process.
That's a great question, and I'll go on ahead and give you my answer, and then I'm hoping Megan and Tatiana will have something different to give you. So for me specifically, when I'm screening and talking to candidates, and I've heard from my leaders as well when they're interviewing, attitude is a huge part and the impression that you are forming on us. So like if you come into the interview tired, you went to bed late the night before, you aren't really given proper, long-ended answers to our questions, just kind of yes, no. that's something that is super important to TriHealth in a role. So we have something called the TriHealth Way. And so with that comes a certain type of culture that we have formed at TriHealth, and the attitude and helpfulness that the company team members provide to, our patients, other colleagues. So for me, I would say, one thing that can really help you stand out is your attitude. Are you positive? Do you have energy? Can we feel the energy coming off of you? Are you excited? And that's what I would say stands out the most to me and some of my leaders. Megan, Tatiana, do you have anything else to add in?
Yeah, I would definitely agree. So in my past, I did a lot of interview prep, mostly phone interview prep. And I know it sounds silly, but what I would tell people all the time is like, do not take a phone interview sitting on a couch, laying in bed. You would be amazed. We can tell. I've told people before, if you need to stand in front of a mirror so you can ensure that your face says you are having a good time, your inflection, your energy level, it mimics what you're up to, right? So I know it's not always super easy. You might be jumping out of a shift at work to do it really quickly, but just ensuring that you have yourself in an environment and a body position that is going to allow you to put out energy, like Lauren said, and to exude whatever it is you're trying to put out there, to me is really important.
Well, I don't think we're saying anything different, Lauren. I think we're just saying it three different ways. Honestly, personality. I mean, Megan, Lauren, both you hit great points. I think this is one of the things that I focus in on. Again, Megan, I did the same thing. High volume. I did a lot of screening prior to phone screening, and especially with COVID. So talking to people, and you can definitely tell if they're in the restroom, if they're sitting down. I actually had someone flush the toilet one time. It's just those different things. So just think about it. It's an interview just as much as you're selling yourself to us. We're selling the company to you as well, so to speak. But we just want you to put your best foot forward, and when that's your first impression pretty much when you're in that interview, to say, hey, just as much as it's our first impression to speak to you and present the company to you as well.
Well, thank you. Do we have any more questions? RJ, that was an awesome question. Thank you for that.
Just a reminder to people, if you want to take yourself off mute and ask questions, you have the capability to do that. If not, and you want to just post them into the chat, you certainly can do that as well, whatever you're comfortable with.
Thank you, RJ. We'll give it another minute to see if anyone else wants to ask a question, and then we do have one last remark for you. Awesome, Marcia, that's awesome to hear. Thank you. You're welcome. We appreciate you joining. Thank you, Michelle. So I do not believe we have any more questions. So just the last remark, we want to be a connection for WGU, for their students if they're looking for roles. So go on ahead. Sorry about that. What question do you have for us? Yes. So I will tell you, like, if you're looking at a remote role, the question is, I see that most of the remote positions, one has to live in Ohio or be based in Ohio. So the reason probably for that, because per policy, if you are fully remote, you have to live in Ohio, Indiana, or Kentucky. But I can tell you, I do have one role that I am working to help a leader fill. And they are specifically looking for someone within 50 miles of Cincinnati, because even though it is a remote role fully for most of the time, there is going to be that off chance that the team member might have to go into the office, like might even just be for a holiday party. So that would probably be why you are seeing that on there, OA.
I do also have positions that are remote. We usually title them with Cincinnati-based work from home. The reason for that on my end is because the expectation is, if you happen to have connectivity, networking, equipment, issues one morning when you wake up, that you're able to get to a brick and mortar TriHealth location of some sort within an hour's commute, as opposed to it being a last minute call off for, something other than a sickness. It's more so that we're not having the workflow interrupted, as I do staff for phone triage nurses. So, having someone call out at the last minute due to something like technology is something that we try to avoid if possible.
That is an awesome point to bring up. Thanks, Megan. And great question, OA. Yeah, feel free to drop a question and we will definitely respond to you in the chat. But just for the sake of everyone's time, we would love to be a connection for you when it comes to looking at roles for TriHealth. So if you are actively seeking a role or know you will be in the future and you are in Ohio, Cincinnati area, looking for an in-person role, or if you're strictly looking for remote, maybe you're a coder, maybe you're IT, no matter what it is, if you are in Ohio, Indiana, or Kentucky, feel free to drop your email in the chat and we'd be really happy to further connect with you about those opportunities. And I don't know if Megan or Tatiana want to say any last remarks, but I just want to thank everyone so much for their time. I know time is precious and valuable, so thank you so much. And as Nick and RJ said, I am a part of the WG community as well. So this means a lot to me to be able to connect with you all and be a resource. So thank you very much.
And I just wanted to say thank you to the TriHealth team for doing this presentation. We certainly greatly appreciate it. Just a reminder to everybody that this session was recorded and there is a questionnaire. It will be coming your way tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that. If you want to go back and rewatch the recording, you can certainly do that. But thank you again thank you again to the TriHealth team. Thanks, Nick, for setting this up and making that connection. We certainly appreciate it. But everybody, I hope you have a great rest of the day. And like I said, keep an eye out for that email. All right, take care.
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, Lauren, Megan, and Tatiana. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye.